So this one, I'm always kind of reluctant about showing this to white belts and newbies because everybody, once they get into this cross lapel choke, they think it's like the only submission that they can ever remember, and they try to get it from all kinds of positions, and it doesn't work. And I don't think that it's necessarily the easiest submission to get. So I'm right now in a mid-range mount just because it's easier and I don't want to crush my balls on this foam roller. It's much easier to be on a person here. So usually the way that this is going to get set up is usually I might be trying to go for this arm bar here. So the way I'm going to get that arm bar is I'm going to pull out this lapel a little bit. Okay? And I want to create a nice straight line here. And basically what it does when you pull that out, so people are going to be guarding like this. They're going to be pulling this in. When I pull this up, for one, I'm just creating a less friction for me to go under, right? If I try to go under his arm, he's just going to pinch. Maybe he's going to grab onto my forearm or whatever. He's going to be bugging that. But if I can clear a path by pulling that up, then it's going to be much easier. So I've got a wide base here. I'm sitting down on his hips. I can start to do this from low mount. I probably won't do it from a high mount. I'd probably use a different technique. But I'm going to take this hand out. I'm going to create that little rope here, and I'm going to slide in palm up until I get my fist on the ground. Now from here, a lot of times I'm going to push that elbow across. I don't want it back down here, right? So I'm going to push the elbow across, and I'm going to slide my leg up so that my hips are blocking that, and then I can start going for that arm bar here. And I think that we've kind of already covered that. So for right now, let's say for example that I wanted to go for that arm bar, but I got this down, and he goes like this. Okay, so that's one instance in which this is going to happen here. Now, I want you to see my wrist grip here, guys. So you see that I've got a post, right? I'm not holding the tray here, okay? You could start to go for that wrist curl, but not yet, okay? Let's save that for the finish. So now, I have that. Now, the way that we kind of teach this in the beginning is maybe start to go here, and that's kind of how we do it from the guard, where we just, go right in. But again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, is that, he knows that in order for me to finish this choke, that I'm going to have to put the second hand in, right? So I might be here, I might go down my low mount here, I'm going to take my hand across here, I'm going to go right here, and I'm not even going to put my hand in the lapel here, right? I'm going to go palm down, and I'm just going to grab some of this fabric here, okay? And that's perfectly fine. Now, notice, the foam roller is bigger than a person's neck, but notice that now I'm not going like super deep here. I'm going as far as I want in order to keep my wrist in a good position, right? If I try to get this really deep here, like I'm going to end up with some kind of compromised wrists here or there. So instead, I'm just going to grab a little wrinkle here. It doesn't even have to be a whole lot here. Now from here, I'm going to put my face onto the mat. And then I get into this position, right? So now he can't roll me, and then I do a low row, okay? And again, when we're doing a cross lapel choke, our low row is going to be here, right? I'm trying to keep my elbows as tight to my ribs the whole time. I'm not going like this, because again, that becomes a trachea crush, and I'm not going to hit those arteries. So, a couple details here is that if I focus a lot on trying to get as deep as I possibly can, you see that my wrist is curling, this wrist is curling around the back, this one's curling around the back a little bit too. But what's also going to happen is by getting it so deep, I'm going to be behind the sternocleidomastoids, right? I'm going to be behind the muscle structures here on the side of the neck, and I'm not going to hit the arteries, which are slightly on the anterior surface. So I need to have my forearms far enough across that they come into the sides on the front, not into the sides on the back. Does that make sense? So I'm up here, I'm in my mid-range mount. I've got my wide base here. I'm rooting to the floor through my knees and my feet. If he starts like really bucking and doing something to try to get me off of him, establish a low mount and stay there. Guys, let him wear himself out, okay? So if I put my hand in here and I slid under here, I have to be concerned, right? If he starts bridging and bucking me off, this is my posting hand, right? I can't post with this hand because it's occupied. So it's really important that when I go here, guys, that, I might actually end up over here, right? So the reason why I'm over here is because if he wants to buck and roll me, he has to take me that way. My weight's over on this side, so he has to lift me up. I'm on the wrong side of the lever. He doesn't have the leverage to be able to pick me up from this position. So I'm going to take my hand, I'm going to come over his head, I'm going to grab whatever wrinkle I can, and then I'm going to come up, and then put my forehead to the mat in here, right? So he can bridge and he can buck all he wants here. He can try to roll me, but I've got posts here, and I've got a post here, so I'm a triangle. I'm pretty secure here, and then I can just do my little low row here. All right? So that is your cross lapel choke from the mount.